Have you been diagnosed with osteoporosis? Yes, me too. But there are things that we can do to help ourselves. One of those things is exercise, but not just any kind of exercise. All the research shows that what we want is strength training or weight-bearing exercise. What would be the best things to do for that? Well, we're going to cut to the chase. We're going to get right to it. What we want to do for strength training is different than endurance training, which most of us do. So strength training means we do shorter amounts of reps with heavier weights. Now, most of us, we pick up, I know me, we pick up like a 5-pound weight and we can whip off like, 20, 30. That would be endurance training, which is not what we want for osteoporosis. We want strength training. That means we pick up heavier weights and we do shorter amounts of time. How short? We want to be able to do 8 to 10 reps and then we go, wow, that was just too heavy. I have to rest. We can't do a lot of reps. That would be endurance training. So weight training has a very positive effect on osteoporosis and bone. For instance, it gives us higher bone mineral density, and you know bones are all about minerals. Also, it gives us increased bone mass and increased muscle mass, and it helps us prevent more bone loss in the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from the top to the bottom, all the way through the body, and we're going to do reps of heavier weights. Now, if you don't have heavier weights, I have a link below. If you don't have anything in your house, just start with some soup cans or something. They're 1 pound, maybe water bottles, but it'll at least get you started. And then you can see where you're at and go to heavier weights. Now, if you don't want to do this complete workout all in the same day, you can do 2 shorter workouts. One day, you'll do the upper body, and the next day, you'll do the lower body. So the first thing we're going to do is just walk in place or do a little march in place. Now, if you have a little chair next to you, that would be great. You could hold on to it for balance if you wanted. One of the things that happens that helps build bones is a little bit of impact. So we don't just want to kind of walk softly. If you can get just a little jog going, so you got a little impact. But of course, you want to be wearing good workout shoes that support your feet. So we've got this going, and we're going to keep it going. One of the things that we're going to do next, after we're done doing this, is we are going to work on getting some synovial fluid into the joints, because we don't want to be lifting weights, just right there out of the gate. What we want to do is to get some synovial fluid. That would be like DW40 for your joints. We want to get the fluid into the joints. We have to think about the joints, because too heavy of weight right off the bat, if you don't have the muscle for it, is going to stress out the joints. Now, I've learned one thing, and I learned it kind of the hard way, is that joints need hydration. So I have a little tip about water. You keep jogging. My little tip about water is, once I got a water bottle like this that had this little handle on it, wow, it made a big difference, believe it or not. I just carry it all over the place with me. So as we get older, there gets to be a little arthritis issues too, right? You know what I found out? Drinking water really helps. So as of this year, you're still jogging. As of this year, I started doing 4 of these a day. I know, right? But everything feels so much better. So we're going to get our water bottles in the future and have them nearby. And I have a little tip for you. You see this kind of lid like that has that little circle? Get that kind, because if it has a straw, who needs more help getting lip lines, right? No, you're going to be drinking a lot of water. You don't want to put your mouth in that lip line straw position. This is the best kind. I have a little link below in case you want a water bottle like this. Now that we've done all that jogging, you've got a little bit of heart rate going. We're going to get some synovial fluid into the joints before we pick up those heavy weights. So let's do some shoulder rolls. How about 4 of them? And then take one arm out to the side and cross it over, out to the side, cross it over. Now take it back like you're going to pat yourself on the back. Now there's an elbow joint involved in that, right? Here comes the other side. Side, cross it over. We're into the shoulder joint. Cross it over to the side, and here you go, pat yourself on the back. Here comes some circles. So you're just going to get into a little lunge. Okay, we're getting a little bit bigger into the shoulder. And we're going to do some weights with the shoulders. Let's do the other side. So even if you're not doing my little moves here, just remember you want to have movement around the joints. Now elbows, because we are going to be moving the elbows with some weights, right? So you want to get synovial joint into the elbows. Just these little pushbacks. Great. All right, time for our weights. Start light to see where you're at, but what we're trying to do is measure out about 8 reps, and then it gets real heavy and you want to stop. So for me, I've been lifting weights for a while. I'm going to start with 10 pounds or 8 pounds. Now, please put your weights up on something because we don't want to be bending over to pick up our weights. We're going to start, put one foot in front of the other. It's a little bit easier to balance. We're going to be doing bicep curls. That's this part of the arm, you know, the muscle that Popeye always pops out. So your weights are going to be straight ahead. One way to make this not so effective is to move your elbows. So we are not going to let our elbows swing back in front like this. You're going to put your elbows right into your waist, and here we go. Number 1, nice and slow. Now the way down, we want to pay attention to controlling the way down, nice and slow. So it's slow on the way up and it's slow on the way down. We don't want to be whipping those weights around. Here's number 7. And here's number 8. Now, maybe you can do 10 with these weights, and that would be great, but we don't want to be able to do that, you know, more than like 12 or 15 times. Then we're going to take a little break. Now, letting the weights hang down, we're just going to do a little walk. We're letting the arms rest, but now with a little walk, and we're holding the heavier weights, you've got a little more impact. And to build bone, it likes weight bearing and impact. So not big impact, but you know, hopping and jumping are supposed to be so great for building bone, but I'm going to tell you, that ship has sailed for me. I don't think hopping and jumping is going to happen anymore. We're on number 2. So put the other foot in back now. Elbows are in. Now this time, let's change it a little bit. So we're doing this kind of weight lift. So this is a hammer curl. You ready? Here we go. We're going to do 8 of them. 8. Remember, the elbows are into the waist and they are not going to move around. So that way we really are targeting just the bicep. Here's number 3, nice and slow. Now we want to protect your back. So you got to keep your tummy pressed in and your ears over your shoulders. So you want to be able to do 8 to 10 and then say, wow, that was really heavy. I don't think I can do any more. Let's do a few more. There we are, letting the weights hang, and we just march it out a little bit. So we want to be able to walk around a little bit, holding the heavier weights. A lot of people wear a weighted vest. I have one. I'll put a link to it. I got it from Dr. Susan E. Brown. And she has lots of videos on those weighted vests. Now, here we go again. We're going to do one more set of biceps. So let's turn it back to the first way. Now, on the first way with your palm up, you've got to be really careful not to let your wrist do this. See what I mean? The wrist has to stay straight. If you can't keep your wrist straight, then do the hammer curl. All right, here we go. 8 more. So on the heavy weights, what we want to do is go slowly, make it heavy, do 8 to 10 reps of heavy, which means number 11 and 12 would have been like way too hard, would have been a struggle. We want to get to the point of the struggle. And that's when the bone starts to get, that's when we get to get a little difference in our workout for bone density, is when you can get to the struggle. That's when you're getting stronger. All right, let the weights hang. Just take a little walk. So helps us to become heavier. One of the, we're just walking with the weights hanging down. There are a number of risk factors for osteoporosis. You've probably heard them all already, but one of them is if you're not heavy enough. So my doctor told me, and I'm 5'3", maybe I'm 5'2" now, not to go below 120 pounds. So no problem. I can stay right about there. So we were working on bicep right there. That's a big muscle, right? So the shoulder, not so big. 3 little taps up by the shoulder. But we are going to work them. You want to go to a lighter weight probably. I had 8 for bicep. Now I'm on 5s. So here we go. We're going to lift 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to take a rest. So you take a little rest in between when you're doing the heavies. For me, that was way too easy lifting 5s. So I'm going to switch to 8s. We're still on our rest. You want a little time for recovery when you're doing heavier weights. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Set number 2. We do 3 sets of each. 1 foot in front of the other. Here we go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Everything comes down. We're just going to take a little walk while we hold on to the weights. So I'm finding that even with the 8-pound weight, I could have kept going. So it would be good for me to switch to a heavier weight. But see, this is the thing you judge for yourself. All right, let's put the other foot in the front, or whatever foot you want. We want to take those little breaks in between. Here we go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All the way down, letting the weights hang. We're just going to recover the muscle a little bit, but we're going to walk in between, making ourselves heavier by holding on. So let's see, if you weigh about 120 pounds and I have 2 10-pound weights, I'm walking around with 140 pounds. Or you can work out with the vest. Okay, so we did shoulders and we did bicep. Now we're going to tricep, a little bit of tricep. Now the tricep isn't as strong as the bicep usually, so I'm going to take my weights down a little bit. You got to be very careful about your elbows, okay? If this hurts your elbows, we want to find another way, and I will tell you another way. So you're going to bend your knees and tuck your hips under. So tuck the tailbone under. Weights are going to come up and hang behind you. Now I have all this weight behind me, right? So I don't want to be sticking my bum out and put more weight behind me. You tuck it in to keep your lower back out of, more safe, and keep your tummy in. Elbows hug your head. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Put the weights on your shoulders. It's going to make you a little heavier. We're just going to walk. We want to do 3 sets of triceps, but I'm going to show you 2 other ways to do it. Do triceps. You can, if you want, do what we just did, or if you want to try something else for the triceps, we're going to do a seated dip. You have your chair near you. So we took a little break. This is also for the triceps. You've got to make sure that your elbows are behind you like this and not like this. So right behind you, exactly behind you. Now, this is a really good, not only for tricep, but it puts weight bearing on the wrist. And we also want to get some weight bearing on the wrist, right? So there we are on the side of the chair. Your elbows go straight behind you. 1. So these are seated dips. We're still on triceps. 2, 3. These are hard, aren't they? 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, if those were like way too easy for you, which they aren't usually too easy for anybody, you can hold on to a weight. See, I have a weight here. You put the weight in between your thighs or in between your knees. But if it's up here by, way up here on your thigh, that is going to make it heavier. So the closer it is to your hips, the heavier you will be. So that's number 2 for triceps. Now, the third thing you could do for triceps is a push-up, but not this way. You got to get the elbows into the waist and do the push-up this way. If you don't want to do the push-up on the floor, I feel ya. You could go against a wall. If you're against a wall, make sure you're like this with your hands right underneath your shoulders, and against the wall or maybe against the kitchen counter, you're going to be pushing up like this until you feel like you can do them from the floor. On the floor, though, is the best because we can also put weight bearing on the wrist. So, all right, here we go. You could also just, go against your couch or your desk, someplace that isn't going to move around. Like, don't do it on the chair. So here we go. You can feel just by holding this that you've got the weight bearing on your wrist. So here we go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and see, the elbows have been in the waist the whole time. They've got to be in your waist. Tuck the toes under. If you can hold a plank a little bit, you can see how that puts weight onto the wrist. And we want the wrist to also have some weight bearing exercise. So here we go. Lift up a little bit, walk it in, bend your knees, and roll up. Now take your lightest weight. We're going to do some wrist circles. Like I said, we always want to think about the wrist also. We just did heavy on the wrist. So now we're going to do some circles. And we're going to do one more wrist thing. All right, I'm going to get closer so you can see. So I'm holding my lighter weight out here. And we're going to drop the wrist and curl. Drop and curl. Seems like a little waste of time, doesn't it? Like, oh, what is this doing? But actually, this is a strength exercise for the wrist. And you know, when you trip, if ever you trip, you're going to catch yourself in this position, right? So we want the muscle around the wrist to be strong, because the stronger the muscle, the more the muscle, the more the bone. All right, let's do the other side. So this is pretty easy for me. I could go to a lighter weight, but you want to start light and then work your way up. So right now I'm thinking I'm doing a 5-pound weight. I could probably go to 6, but right now we'll just do it like this. And the day after tomorrow, I'll do a little heavy. So when you are doing strength training, you want to take a day off in between. We're going to do some squats, but what's really important is what's going on with your back. So we want to be on the diagonal with the contact, your hips, like bra line, and the back of your head. So with that in mind, you're going to go so that the chair is a little bit behind you. You could cross your hands like this if you want, or just lift them up as you go. So what we're going to do is come down. See, you want to be on that angle and back up. My angle looks weird because I have a mic on my back, so it looks like I have a little hunchback. It's the pack to the mic. I'm not hunchbacked. All right, let's do it again. So you're lifting your arms if you can. This gives you a little bit more workout in your back if you lift your arms. But if you don't want to lift them, just put them on your chest. The main thing we want to do is keep your back up, because you know we need the muscles of the back to be strengthened. And if you go down like this, you're not working on those erectors. We want to always be working on the erectors. So the arms are adding weight. Now I could definitely do more than 8 of these, but I'm not going to be using the weights. So 8 to 10 is enough. Let's have a seat. If you have Dr. Brown's weighted vest, that exercise is a lot harder. So you could try the vest if you like. You can read all about it on her website, which I will give you below. Now, we all know that we need to be able to get up from this position up, because you know, so it also is very strengthening for the legs, but remember what your back is doing. So we're going to come to the edge of the chair, and here we go. If you want to, if you need to, you could swing your arms forward, and it kind of helps you get up. And then on the way down, you find the chair. So this little swing forward, it gives you a little momentum to help you get up. If you don't need the momentum, put your arms in front of your chest, and that's harder because you don't have the momentum. Yeah, you got to really trust that that chair is back there, right? When you're coming down, and lift. You don't need the arms swinging. That's a little more advanced. Now, if this is just not happening for you yet, what you can do is give yourself a little push right there off the chair. And then as you come down, you find the chair, but keep your back up. So we're keeping the back up all the time. Now, if this is getting easy for you, you could, as you know, hold a weight. So you want to hold close to your chest, forward and up. So it's actually touching my chest. You don't want that weight way forward of you. You kind of want it right on the top. So you can kind of choose, but being so super careful because this is tough on the knees if you're not used to it. So just do enough today to get yourself started and see where you're at. We want to take the leg to the front, to the side, and to the back, because the hip can go all those places. And the hip is a place that typically is affected by osteoporosis. Now, your leg weighs something, right? So at first, just try it with your leg. If you can progress to leg weights. This is a 1 pound ankle weight. You can start with 1 pound. I usually use 4 pounds and sometimes even 8 pounds because I've been doing it for a while. So with these leg weights, you probably know how to use them. I'm gonna get close. You just wrap it around. It has a little Velcro thing like that. And you put these on your ankles. So bending your knees. You see how I'm straight up and down and my hip isn't going toward the chair? That's what we want. Don't let your hip go toward the chair. And your knee has to stay over the middle of your foot. When you take this leg out to the side, usually you want to stick your hip out there to kind of counter it. We're going to stay right there on the top. And here we go. 8 times. 8, 7, 6. Remember, we're slow. And you want to come down slow. Now, I see when people first start doing this, they come down fast. We don't want that. They come down like, that. So we want to get to the place where you can go up slowly and down slowly. Let's do the other side. We could do 8 to 10 of them without stopping, very slow. And then you can gauge from there if you want to get heavier ankle weights. Now I have on a 1 pound ankle weight, but I know my shoe also weighs like a half a pound. So I know I'm picking up about 1.5 pounds. Let's shake it out. So remember, we want to do 3 sets. We're just going to come walking it out for a little bit. Okay, here's our second set. Now watch this knee. It's not going to be moving around. Here we go. Chest is up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. I know your standing leg is getting weight bearing too, right? And 1. So this is great because your standing leg gets the weight bearing and your moving leg gets some weight bearing. Here's the other side. 8, 7, 6. You're so nice and tall. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shaking it out. I know, you feel your hips getting a little warm, right? So we have 1 more set. And we want to wait a little bit in between. It's nice to just do some walks in between. Now, if you have on leg weights, the ankle weights, you don't want to walk around your house. You just want to walk in place when you have ankle weights on. Here we go, our last set. Nice and tall. Remember, that hip isn't going to go that way. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 more, 2, go slow on the way down, and 1. So that's slow on the way down, so important. Other side, we're going to walk around a little bit. All right, here we go, our last set. 8. It doesn't come up very high. If it did, it would make me tip. So it doesn't come up that high. You don't want to tip. You don't want to tick-tock. You want to stay straight and tall. And back to the center, just walk it out. So that should have warmed up the hips quite a bit, right? Now, we're going to give the hips a little rest for a second while we work on the ankles. If you have stairs in your house, you can just go to the stairs and then just let your heel hang off. But I don't have stairs here in my studio. So I have a yoga mat, which isn't ideal. Stairs would be better. You want to put your ball of your foot on the mat and the heels reach down. We want the heels to hang down a little bit. And here we go. 8, 2, 3, 4. 4 more. 5, 6, 7, 8. And take it off. Now, if you have the weighted vest, Dr. Brown's weighted vest, this is a much more effective exercise because you are lifting your whole body weight, right? But you got 2 legs to do it. So it's hard to be fatigued after 8 of them. Better if you have on the weighted vest. Here we go. 8. Let it hang down. 7, 6, 5. Now, my physical therapist told me that it's really hard to do these effectively with over 8, so that I should do 15 of them. He told me 3 sets of 15. So we'll just do 15 this time. And with the 15, you'll feel it kind of going up the back of the leg, but I don't think enough to feel that you're going to fail on number 15 unless you have on the weighted vest. All right, we have 1 more set there with the ankles. So let's do 15. Maybe you're over at your staircase someplace holding on, which is probably the best. Here we go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. That was 8. Stop if it's too hard. 8, or if you can do 15. Here's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. There we go. And then if you can, progress up to just 1 foot doing it. So that's how you get more weight bearing on it, is you progress onto just that 1 foot. All righty, here we go. We wanted to go back, side, and front. We went to the side, right? We're going to go to the back. Bend your knees, but you keep your back up. You know, we're not going to do that. Remember the broom? You could have your elbows on the chair or on the kitchen counter, but your back is up like the angle from the broom. 1 leg goes back. Now, if this is enough right here, just hold it. But if you can, here we go up for 8. 8, not very high. 7. Now you've really got your tummy pressed in, and remember where your back is on that diagonal. 6, 7, 8. Bring it in, walk it out. All right, you ready for the other side? Both knees bend. Keep the chest up. 1 leg back. Your chest is up, lifting your back, not collapsing. 8, 7. Now this is kind of better If you are like leaning on your kitchen counter or something that doesn't move, this chair's a little wiggly, right? So put yourself on something that's safe. Maybe your desk, kitchen counter, couch, back of the couch. All right, here we go. In and take it out. If that hurts your lower back at all, you want to do two things. Take off the weights if you have them on and hold your tummy in tighter. Pull your tummy in as tight as you can. And here we go. 8. Now, the knee is over the middle of the foot of the standing leg. We don't want that knee moving around. 5, 6, 7, 8. Bring it in. So you can see that that's quite a workout for the standing leg as well. Why? Because all your body weight is on that standing leg. Your stabilizers are working really hard to keep you up. Here we go. Let's go the other side. This is our set number 2. 1. Pull your tummy in. 2. You don't want your back to sag at all. You've got to keep that waist up and keep your tummy pressed in and your back up, like with the broom. 6, 7, 8. Ooh, walk it out. We're going front, side, and back. So we only have one more to the back. Then we'll do our fronts. Then we'll be done. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Lift it up. Might as well just get it done. 8, 7. Now, if this hurts your back at all, tip a little more forward. This keeps your back really lengthened, makes your erectors work. But if you're finding that it hurts your lower back, then take the back a little bit flatter. But keep the chest up. We never want to collapse. Ready for the other side? So we never collapse like this or lean on the chair. You can take the back a little flatter, but the chest stays up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, almost there, 2, and 1. Excellent. Let's take it out. Now we do want to do core exercises for the back. And we had our back in the direction of the broom, keeping the chest lifted for the erectors. That was one way to do it. All right, we're walking it out. We still have to come front. So here we go. At the side of the chair, you're going to just lunge, one leg back, but we're going to bring it up to the front. Ready? Here we go. Up and back. Up and back. Now, your leg in this position is pretty strong. So in order to feel this with 8 to 10 reps, you might need a heavier weight on your ankle. But just to finish it off, here we go. We're going to come on up. And now slow taps. 1, 2, 3. Easier to feel this way. And 5. Bottom leg stays straight. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's the topper. And then we take it off. So the first is just a little bit for mobility, but those little taps at the end, those 8 taps, that's where you're going to really feel it. So this part's just to get the hips some mobility. Here we go. And a little bit of lifting. 1 and back. 2 and back. Now keep your tummy up. 3, back. Here's number 4 out of 8. 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Hold it up there. Now here comes the taps. 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, shake it out. Now the last thing we're going to do is another set for the same thing, making this creak, or going to the front. We're just going to vary it a little bit. So you could do what we just did. This is almost a little bit harder, really. So you're going to sit in the chair. Now the trick is to keep your back up like this, and we don't want to be going like this. So here we go. Your back is up, and you could hold the chair if you want, but it'd be better if you didn't. Lift. 2. This is number 2, because you have to do both legs. This is number 3. 3. 4. So this is another option, when you're thinking backside and front. This is the front one. But, this is a little bit harder to do sitting down because your back is staying up and not moving around. If you can do 10, 1 on either leg, that'd be really great. But by number 10, you want to rest. So those are your exercises to do to the front. Now, after we do all of those strength training, weight bearing exercise, we want to do just a little stretch, right? Because that all contracted our muscles. So let's take a stretch to the back. You don't want to end your workout in contraction. So we're taking this back, putting the heel on the floor, just a little stretch either way. There we go. Get that back heel down. And just like we did at the beginning, hold on to the chair. The leg that isn't by the chair, the other one, cross it around in front, and then tip towards the chair. So it stretches out a little bit in the waist and hip. The other side, whatever foot isn't near the chair, cross it over, and then go toward the chair for this stretch. Now I have another video about what we can do about osteoporosis. I'll link it below, and then you'll see it come up after this video ends, and you can get even more helpful tips. See you next time.